carved red line, with no evident meaning, though it could become a work of art. But what does it take for it to be recognized as a work of art? In the modern era, the concept of art has grown and expanded. Everything can be considered art, even an empty surface or a pile of rubbish. And, as Joseph Beuys famously declared, anybody can be an artist. So how can you tell what is art? This, for example, is a kitchen, cold and shiny as a spaceship. It wasn't created by a product designer, but by a painter. This mobile fold-out kitchen isn't to be found in somebody's home, but in an artist's studio. It's displayed at exhibitions and in museums. It's art in disguise.
That has to do with the fundamental question of modernism. What do you see? And in this case, you could say, what you see is actually what you see, a kitchen.
There are no obscure codes or meanings to be analysed. It's just a kitchen, which in a way isn't a kitchen. This is a film that's not a film, but was produced like a film. Julian Rosefeld's visually powerful works can be found in major collections around the world. Even while he was studying architecture, he knew he wanted to work with film. He created an installation and was surprised by the reaction.
It was really strange the first time I read something that referred to me as an artist. I had to get used to that. I didn't find it silly, I just wasn't prepared. I hadn't expected it. I would have found it just as weird if somebody had talked about Julian Rosefeld, the biologist.
Rosefeld's trilogy of failure displays people scientifically, as if they were hamsters on a treadmill. In his film Stunned Man, an expressionless man trashes, then tidies his apartment, again and again, like a modern-day Sisyphus. Even if he goes through the wall, he still ends up in the same life.
It makes some people fall about laughing. Others sit there in silence and reflect on their life and work, because it feels familiar to them. Life on a hamster wheel. That's what's exciting about such pseudo-experiments. It's a bit like a laboratory. You construct something, the protagonist does his stuff over and over again. You can go into the lab for a while and observe him. That leaves plenty of room for interpretations.
Art is a laboratory for human life, a model of the world that brings perceptions to light. There's currently an exhibition of Rosefeld's work in Salamanca, Spain. For museum director Javier Panera, judging whether Rosefeld's works are works of art was never an issue.
The question whether something is art or is not art is not in the least relevant. What is really important is whether a work's images, its narrative or design pose questions relevant to our time and the world we live in.
The DA2 Museum is housed in an old prison. The atmosphere of menace that once prevailed here can still be felt. Rosefeld's installations go a step further. They explore the way an environment created by people changes the people in its turn and keeps them prisoner. Rosefeld says the installations develop a life of their own.
At the moment, I enjoy stepping back from my projects and letting things happen that I can't explain. That allows the projects to be read in a straightforward manner. But at the same time, the protagonists I conceive turn out to have secrets they don't share with me, even though they are my creations. They do things I can't explain. A simple example, the stunned man. He is always taking these drops. People often ask me why, what are they? But I don't know. Ask him. The important thing was that he does something that I can't control.
A car torched out of anger. This picture hangs at exhibitions of Michael Kehner's work next to his sleek, shiny, hyper-functional kitchen. A fighter sports a tailor-made pinstripe combat outfit, Violence meets consumerism. A kitchen isn't just a kitchen, even when it looks like one.
If you really think it through, a kitchen is not just a banal, everyday kind of object where food is consumed. Eventually, a chain of thoughts arises about battling for a share of the pie.
The kitchen reveals something you can't see. So is art created in the mind of the viewer?
I see art as a kind of language. I see something, I process it and work on it, then send it back in some form or other.
Roosevelt's parachutist never gets out of the changing room. He has to test his chute over and over again. Leonardo da Vinci told his students to stare at a bare wall until they could make out a battle in the irregularities of its surface. As observers, we become discoverers and researchers. Art poses questions, we have to come up with the answers. That's how we know it's art.